Namaste, dear people. This is the third part of my series on light language. The other two were written as postings on my Facebook page. But on contemplating this part, I felt it was much more easier and appropriate to present it to you as a video. So here goes. I spoke on the first light language generally about what light language could be and how it figures and how people express this light language. On the second part, I spoke about some of my experiences of light language, my the exposure I had had at a really early age. So the first part, really, to put it in a nutshell, what's happening is that in order for us to transcend the mind and to the mental mind, our rational mind, our thinking and verbal mind, it is necessary for us to develop experience of energies and consciousness that goes beyond this mental processing. And so, as human consciousness is expanding and we're leaving the old matrix, more and more people are beginning to be drawn to these languages, which include the speaking of different sounds that come from different timelines and experiences in our consciousness. Of speaking the words of the Akash, the Akashic record, the sounds that come from those records. The speaking the elemental languages, speaking the languages of our ancestors and the forms that were spoken or voiced through song, through chanting, and through other means. So if you like, there's a whole range. And I forgot to mention the galactics, because people come recently or much earlier from their star, bringing their star lineage memories, and the languages of those, the sound languages of those, are being spoken by people. So more and more people, it's increasing. People are either attracted to it and begin to experience these new energies, as it were, through the listening to and participating in light language, and through beginning to speak those languages. Not just, and it's not just in spoken form, it's in the movement of the hands, not just the mudras, but the actual movement of the hand, drawing and moving energy. Because as I move here, I am drawing the light threads to a place, and they are creating forms and flow as the hands move. And from the body, you can take the energy out from the body and create, expand, and explore the other ranges of the energy and consciousness that you are. So these hands are much more dynamic than we've given them credit for. Coming from the heart, they express a loving language. We have the light language from that is expressed through glyphs. And in my recollection of childhood, they weren't the only form, but the form that was that I played with very much and have played with a lot later in my life are mandalas, or if you like, sacred geometry and sacred energetic movement, because these geometries, these energies, are a reflection of the creation and expansion. And in dance also is an expression of this light language, the movement of energy in time and space. So we are all being, in one way or another, drawn out to express and drawn out to be receptive to these languages, which take us beyond thinking, beyond rational thinking. So I wanted to just, this part 3, continue a little more, leading up to a gift. I wanted to say that there's something that we have all experienced, which is part of this whole expression of language and energetic exchange that goes beyond thinking. And that was when you were a child, you were taught about the numbers 1 to 9 and beyond, 0 being included somewhere there. And there is an excitement and a knowing that you see in children when they're first exposed to numbers. Let's bypass the fact that a lot of people are not mathematically inclined. We're not talking about mathematics now, although that is an extension. But the basic numbers, the numbers are magical. It's a magical experience for us to come across the number 1 and realize that when you add something to it, it becomes 2. And then we add something more and it becomes 3. And 3 contains the 2 and the 1. These kinds of realizations are intuitive to us, but they are reminders of our greater expanded knowing. And numbers are much more than just some glyphs written on the page. Because just as we could say that all creation at some level or other reflects light and therefore images and experiences of light. Light as an experience. That same energy can have a sound. That's another reflection of the energy of creation. And there's another one, which is codes. The codes that make up from 0, from no thing, to 1 is miraculous. From no thing to the 1. From no thing to you. I, 1. I exist. I am. huge, miraculous transformation. And all children know this. They know it from deep, deep down. And numbers are creation codes. So that many are seeing that if you can think of the DNA code, many people are actually seeing numbers, number sequences. And these numbers are not just figures, they're codes of creation. And the fact that I'm speaking about them, that's not it. All I can do is appeal to your intuition. So numbers are, if you like, a universal light language. Because you can know them, or what I say, grope them. Grope them is really understand knowing without speech, without the need for proof. It cannot be proved. It is known. It is beyond proof. So numbers create. They are codes of creation. Yeah. Silence. The mystery is beyond speaking about. But as human, we speak about these things. That's why I say, whatever I did, not it. So let's play a little further. So numbers. Numbers are a form of light language. Now I'd like to jump a little bit into our lives. And what we're finding as our consciousness expands, in order to come further into the heart, further into our beingness, we need to undo, or people say clear, the matrix that we've played out in ourselves. And the matrix comes from our own experience and how we have interpreted it, our own experience in this lifetime. It comes from our experience from all other lifetimes and the recordings we've made, our memories of it, and the charges, the emotional charges we have attached to that experience in the past. They come from the uh, the coded memory in your DNA from your ancestors, the experiences they had, and the loops that they built to create their safety and their understanding of the world that they experienced. And we hold those too. And we hold the codes of our galactic families and our galactic experience. And in physical form, we contain, if you like, the information of all our experience here. And it's often referred to as your Akashic record. You have a record of everything that you ever experienced. But in order for us to expand our consciousness, in other words, clean and purify the energetic layers that we are, such that we're free to explore in different ways beyond the confines of the matrix. We have to consciously clear the unkind lies we told ourselves in order to feel safe and survive. And it seems an enormous task. And there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are aware of this and are consciously clearing what people call the various timelines and the various uh, layers of experience whereby we have protected ourselves by building thoughts, patterns, belief systems uh, that uh, have our emotional needs and wants and our fears attached to them. And I've, like everyone else, when something pops up from the past, I've had to deal with it. And we learn to deal with it by acknowledging it, giving gratitude for the knowing of it, and letting it go in love. But it kind of seems an endless task. And for me, I've always had this feeling that uh, there's a point where you're aware enough to be able to handle all this. And so I do not go looking for what I need to clear up. If there's something to be handled, it comes up in the moment and I deal with it. But so much, so many, I see so many still looking, looking through past lives, looking through their ancestry, looking at their galactic origins, and still clearing and attempting to clear these things in order to feel their own expansion. And I've always, though I honor people and their path and the teachers, beautiful teachers who are helping them, I've always had a question mark about that. But do we need to? Is there a way of going beyond the mind and clearing? Like having your board, a whiteboard filled with drawings and pictures and um, words and so on. And I want to start anew. And so I take the duster and I wipe it all clean. And I have a board with nothing on. And I can put in anything I like. And wondering that whether that is really possible and actually feeling that it is possible. But because when you clear, you still use your mind to clear. And it's like getting beyond the mind. And this is where light language comes in. Because light language takes you to an energetic, whereby things can be done uh, just with you entertaining the possibility that the clearing is done. And the deeper you entertain the possibility, the more you not believe, the more you know that this makes sense for you, and the more you can surrender and let go, the more the clearing, the longer that it lasts, uh, the more complete it is. And to cut a long story short, I came across this lady who gave me a couple of keys just knowing what she did. I heard her speak light language, and some light languages I've really resonated with, others not. But here, this lady was extraordinary because she was doing a whole range of languages I could hear. And uh, 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 I felt the impact immediately. A really strong feeling of movement and expansion. I'm not saying that I haven't felt that sort of thing before with others, but this time I did. It was highly significant. But what really caught me, caught my memory and understanding and made sense to me, that she included in her language a whole series of numbers. And it enlivened my memory and my thoughts and my feelings about numbers and the codes. And listening to her whole presentation, as it were, her whole gift, it felt like a complete package. Now, this lady goes by the name of AudreyLightLanguage. And I can only say that my experience with her and from her is phenomenal. Now, you know, I don't promote individuals very much at all. But this is not about promoting an individual. It's about promoting truth as I experience it. Because in my lifetime, only 2 or 3 people or workshops I've ever been to. All I understand and know has come from life and come from, if you like, teachers who are on the other side, who have been, who have become part of the we of me. And so it's like a walking together. And their knowledge has been mine, and mine, I presume some of mine, at least my experience, I give to them. But I don't recommend people. But I'm pointing to this lady because of the experience I had. And I wanted to give a special shout out for the numbers, because I was attracted to the numbers, and I can't give you a mental test justification except that they sat right. And so I contacted her, and she gave me a set of numbers which were specifically for me. They come from her, her higher knowing. They come through her higher knowing. And she gave me the numbers, and I began to use them, say them out loud. And they're quite a long code, and she gives them so fast that you couldn't copy them down. But she also, in contacting her, gave me the numbers uh, at a speed I could write them down, and repeated them for me so that I could check the accuracy of my writing down. And I use these numbers, just speaking them, and I have learned so much. Now, what Audrey said, which which I picked up to straight away, was it's like we need to break through the loops. We keep going through the old loops, and this is why I felt that all this clearing thing is just going back over the loops in finer detail, and repeatedly almost. We're trying to clear the loops, but we still keep going round in these mental loops. And there were just 3 words that Audrey used in her sharing, which stuck in my mind, and that is, what's it Control, Alt, Delete. When you when your computer's not working and in trouble, and you really have to do a radical change, you press Control, Alt, Delete, and you erase it. Or when you need to reboot your computer, you want to take out all the old software and bring it back new. And then you input data. Or when you have a new computer, even more so. You get a new computer, a new hard drive, no information on it. And you start, you can input whatever you like into the memory. But you begin with new input. And this is what my feeling was, that since 2012, it's all new. It's all new. All the old stuff can fall away. It's not falling away in life out there because people are still going through the old loops. So why not erase it? Why not Control Alt Delete, reboot, and start afresh? And that's what I am experiencing as I do the numbers. Because I can begin the day, and no matter what I've been thinking about, when I chant and when I speak the numbers that are my numbers, they're my coding, my DNA, the new DNA. I wipe the slate clean for that day. That's not to say I don't have access of the memories. I'm not wiping my memory. I'm just wiping the attachment to those memories. The memories don't go away. It's the attachments which bind us to the loops. And so I know that I'm only beginning with this, and there are a series of numbers because as the numbers I acclimatize to the numbers, there are new numbers which Audrey has given me, and you can use the numbers for example, you're going to make a decision, you're not sure what to do, and so on. You can use the numbers, reboot, and clear. I think the best way for me to describe it is being clear. We talk about going into meditation and coming out, and you can clearly look at what's in front of you and make your decision. The decision may be based on past experience, but it can be a totally new decision. It's easier for you to act on your heart knowing because the numbers bring you present, present and clear. That's one of the things. There are many other things. Different people experience different things from it. But the beauty of numbers is that you can't put a number, you can't put a mind interpretation on the numbers. And yet you immediately feel the power, even though it seems in some ways you're just chanting numbers by rote. The fact that they have no mental meaning is part of the power of the truth of what they are. So I'm pretty pretty stoked by the use of these numbers, and I will continue to explore with them. Uh, but what a gift! What a gift! So why am I speaking about this? I'm connecting this part, this whole light language, to the quantum healing moment. Now, as you know, most of you know, that for over 4 years now, every month I call I call all those who want to come and join in and sit together wherever they are, wherever you are in the world, to tune into your lovingness and the world wide web of love that's in the quantum field. It's the love of us all poured into and is used by the company of heaven, by the angelics, the galactics, to take the energy of our lovingness, unity, and oneness and put it where it's most needed in the world, or where it's most appropriate at this time. It's available all the time. And so we sit for 5 to 10 minutes, some people sit longer, where we are in the world at 12 noon on the first day of each month. And we sit in this harmony. And we sit to either receive healing or to give it, but primarily together in oneness, at home with ourselves, connected to all in love and unity in the quantum space. A quantum healing moment. So that I'm in New Zealand. We start first because we're the first to see the sun. But as the 24 hours goes on, there are different people sitting around the world. And some people dance or play music. We have at least 2 people I know of who play their gongs and give, if you like, humanity, us all, a gong bath at the time that they sit. But it all contributes to that quantum moment because we say so. And Audrey has very kindly offered to present her light language for this next month coming up, which is in a couple of days' time. She's going to give us some of her light language, which includes the fairies, the galactics, the ancient ones, the Akashic keepers, the shining ones, and I probably missed a couple out. And I think she'll probably do the numbers, but it's up to her. And she's going to present it so that you can listen to it prior, the day before, and you can listen to it as you sit in our quantum healing moment. And then I'll leave it to you what the experience is. But don't be surprised if some of you go to sleep, because it's that powerful. So I hope that those of you who haven't had much experience in light language will enjoy what she shares. And there's nothing to necessarily experience, just be simply open to the possibility, open to the possibilities that are you. So the languages she speaks are the clearing, is the clearing of the loops, getting beyond the loops at the various levels of the languages. And the numbers are the beginnings of the reboot. I hope this has been useful and informative for you all. I so love you. And I hope you will join us in the next quantum healing moment. We are one, and we are beautiful human beings on an adventure beyond our wildest imagination. Bless you.